There's always these promotional materials of every drone or quadcopter being flown above the mountaintops or in the remote wilderness. But what you can't see, unless you look really closely, is the gigantic pelican that was used to carry it there. And don't get me started on the whole enjoy the thrill of flight as you soar through the air. They always leave off the bit about on a tiny little screen with so much glare you can't see jack. Well, all of that ends today. DJI sent us one of the first early units of their first-person view flight goggles and a Mavic Pro, the fully featured drone that's small enough to put in your pants, if you're into that sort of thing. iBuyPower and MSI's new lineup of gaming laptops feature Intel 7th generation Core i7 processors. Check them out at the link below. I haven't actually reviewed the DJI Mavic Pro yet, so before we get into the experience of using the brand new DJI Goggles, I feel like it deserves some attention. When it comes to features, there's nothing especially groundbreaking about it on paper. It could almost be summarized as a miniature Phantom 4. The arms for the front motors fold out from the side, the arms for the rear motors fold down from the bottom, and like a Falcon, you'll need to remove the hood before you fly. And that's pretty much it. You're ready to go. Even the quick-release rotors can be left in place during transport and will unfold themselves once you start the drone. It comes with a surprisingly ergonomic and compact controller that can be used independently or with a real-time feed from the camera that's much lower latency than before, thanks to OcuSync by plugging in your phone with the included cables. It's got micro SD expansion with the ability to save a backup copy of the streamed video to your device. It's got ultrasonic sensors and dual downward-facing cameras, front-facing cameras for collision detection that works great as long as the thing in front of you isn't glass. The onboard GPS enables a handful of different autonomous modes, but there are still some issues from my perspective. Neither the mode that attempts to recognize you based on a short setup process, nor the one that tracks your location based on following the GPS signal from the controller is capable of changing height relative to you. So if you go up a mountain or down it, it will run out of ground or lose sight of you. Point of interest, though, is solid for getting smooth footage in a circle around an object, but manual control is pretty much where it's at from my perspective. The Mavic's smaller size ends up being both a pro and a con. Its agility, not to mention the much higher quality of its metal and plastic construction, are strong points that enable it to go into areas that might concern owners of larger, more fragile drones, but even in the much higher performance sport mode that can go up to 65 kilometers an hour, it's not the fastest out there, and it's a touch more susceptible to gusts. Though with that said, in normal conditions, once again, I've got to hand it to the engineers at DJI. You got to speed up the footage to make it feel like anything but a tripod in the sky. The 4K camera can be evaluated two ways. From a professional standpoint, I could discuss how the 1 2/3 inch sensor doesn't handle low light as well as the higher-end Phantom 4 Pro, or how the recording compression makes 4K off the Mavic look more like 1080 off of a good camcorder. But from a consumer or even prosumer standpoint, all of that really goes out the window. If you're just looking for dope AF aerial footage of whatever cool thing you're doing, you're gonna absolutely love this thing. But will you love it from a first-person perspective? The DJI Goggles, as they're calling them, put you right in the cockpit of your drone. After a very short setup process using the onboard touchpad or the controller once you've paired it, to register your FPV headset, you just lower the blast shield and you're dropped into what is effectively a gigantic movie theater full of where you're flying. And impressively, thanks to DJI's use of dual Full HD displays, their goggles have got to be the best looking virtual theater I've seen yet, with almost no discernible screen door effect where you can see gaps between the pixels. So I spent most of my time in the mode that moves the camera gimbal according to your head position, and the new fixed wing mode that kind of flies where you look, like a head-steered airplane would. And if you're an aerial sightseer who has never done FPV before, like me, you are going to be absolutely blown away. The latency on the connection, while not low enough to keep me from getting a little nauseated if I stood up or tried to move around while I'm flying, made the controls super intuitive to use, and the video quality, whether you choose 720p at 60 FPS or 1080p at 30 FPS, was sharp enough that I never once found myself thinking, you know, this is okay, but it would be so much better if I popped the micro SD out of the drone and then into the goggles after the fact to watch the full quality clip. And I guess, yeah, that's kind of a cool thing too. You can watch movies in your private theater using the onboard speakers or headphone jack if you want to. But now we have to talk drawbacks. Thanks to their omnidirectional antenna array in the headband, their battery, their dual displays, etc., DJI's goggles are heavier and less comfortable than I wish that they were. And there's also significant light bleed around the nose. I'd prefer something that has more of a strap-like system to hold it against my face. But that's honestly far from the biggest thing preventing me from recommending that you run out and buy a pair right now for $450. You may have noticed that in all of my footage using the Mavic Pro and the goggles, I've got somebody with me. Well, this is mandated by law in the US because you're legally required, in most areas that I'm aware of anyway, to maintain line of sight with your aircraft, something that's obviously not possible inside an enclosed helmet. So the DJI goggles, like many things in life, I guess, are best enjoyed with a friend to keep an eye on your drone for you. But that's tough for people like me who frankly just don't have any friends. Further complicating matters, for recreational drone users, Canada's latest batch of restrictions makes the operation of a UAV like this one illegal basically anywhere but the wilderness, which is why some of our footage, which was taken before these regulations were added to the criminal code, is near our office, and some of it was taken in the middle of corn bean nowhere after the rule change. I mean, some of what they're doing does make sense to help keep people safe, but a lot of it, frankly, feels over-restrictive. So I guess if you've made it this far in the video thinking, wow, this thing looks awesome, that thing looks awesome, but I don't even think I'd be able to use it in my area, then I guess what I'd have to say is get some discussion going in the comments and reach out to your local representation, because experiences this cool shouldn't just be for people who have a getaway cabin in the woods somewhere. Do you like anime? Well, you either already work at Crunchyroll, or you're probably interested in learning about it. Crunchyroll gets you the most current episodes of new shows straight from Japan, like Dragon Ball Super and Twin Star Exorcists, and all the content on their site is professionally subtitled. Our link below the video gives you a whole month of anime completely ad-free, with lots of other benefits, like 1080p streaming, getting new episodes of shows straight from Japan within an hour of their premiere, and being able to stream to a variety of devices like your phone, tablet, or game console. If you like all the benefits of their premium membership, which is what the trial is, then you can subscribe for only $6.95 per month. So head over to crunchyroll.com/Linus and sign up today. So thanks for watching, guys. If this video sucked, you know what to do. But if it was awesome, get subscribed, hit that like button, or check out the link to where to buy the stuff we featured in the video description. Also down there is a link to our merch store where you can buy cool shirts like this one, and our community forum, which you should totally join. It's real, by the way.